What's happening, everybody? It's a big week this week. Welcome to another episode of Facemask Fantasy. And y'all already know what this is about. It's do or die time for the playoffs. So let's sort through your starting lineup. Let me just go ahead and get this shared with my Discord friends. All right. That's good to go. We'll start with the most up-to-date information we have as far as injury reports, practice reports, all that good stuff. And then we'll get into it. Going back to Friday's practice reports, and then I will get to the general, then I'll get to the questions. Give me 1 second. We'll start with the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence listed as questionable for Week 14. He's going to be a game-time decision. We already know that Christian Kirk is out for the next 6 to 8 weeks after he's going to have to undergo core muscle surgery if it hasn't happened already. His fantasy season is done. His regular season is over. He's going to need the Jaguars to make a deep playoff run without him for him to have a chance to return. So if you desperately need the IR spot, Kirk can be dropped. Or the room on the roster in general. I don't like Trevor Lawrence tomorrow. If he's able to give it a go, he's going to be working at less than 100% with less than 100% of his weapons on the road in a tough spot against Cleveland. Not super enthusiastic about Trevor Lawrence if he's able to give it a go. I would be making alternate options at quarterback. Dalton Schultz not expected to play. It's another week of Brevin Jordan. He is on the streaming radar. If you are looking for something at tight end, if you don't have something a little bit more of a slam dunk at tight end. Amari Cooper is questionable as well this week with a concussion and also dealing with a rib injury. Ideally, you can make other plans. He could still be cleared in time. I would not be relying on Amari Cooper, though, this week. Isaiah Pacheco, this one's a significant one, is ruled out for Week 14. So there's a lot of back and forth right now, a lot of question marks about what to do with the Chiefs' backfield. Andy Reid told reporters that Clyde Edwards-Helaire would be the first guy up, but Jerick McKinnon would mix in. I'm paraphrasing here. I'm not doing any specific quotes. But to read between the lines, Clyde probably gets the rushing opportunities. Jerick McKinnon gets the pass-catching opportunities, the third down opportunities. If you need one of these two, it probably should be McKinnon. Clyde is more of a desperation play. He could get more involved. Jerick McKinnon has not played the past 2 weeks, but he wasn't listed on the injury report this week. He doesn't have an injury designation going into the game, so McKinnon is seemingly okay. He's good to go. In this game, against Josh Allen and that Bills offense, on a Chiefs offense that is already devoid of wide receiver talent, I got to think that Jerick McKinnon is probably the slight preferential option as far as who you're looking to flex in this Chiefs backfield. Clyde should be able to get in there and maybe provide a low-end floor game, low-end floor play. Might get a little bit of volume. Might get usurped by Deneric Prince more often than you would maybe expect coming into the game. This feels like a true unpredictable situation, more so pertaining to Clyde Edwards-Helaire than Jerick McKinnon. I think McKinnon's role is the safest one to project tomorrow. He's the most proven. He's the most reliable. Long-standing vet who we saw have a lot of success at the end of the season for the Chiefs last year. So I got to think, and again, especially with the lack of wide receiver talent in Kansas City, I got to think Jerick McKinnon gets some rock solid usage tomorrow. Andy Reid could be telling the truth about Clyde. It could, he'll be the first guy up, or he'll be the main guy, so to speak, if there is a main guy. But that could just be coach speak. Andy Reid is one of those coaches that is notorious. It's difficult to predict what he's going to do with his backfield on a game-to-game basis. Now that there's opportunities wide open, trying to play this game and figure all that stuff out, you're going to drive yourself crazy. I would just ultimately lean on McKinnon as a priority over Clyde Edwards-Helaire if you are able to choose one. If McKinnon is gone, I got to imagine McKinnon is the more heavily rostered player. Clyde is fine as a desperation flex. I would maybe play him over, say, somebody like Kareem Hunt. He's still a more like a low-end option. I wouldn't even play. I wouldn't play him over the likes of somebody like Aaron Jones, who has missed a ton of time, but is apparently could be coming back this week. I wouldn't play him over Breece Hall, who has missed practice this week, but is expected to play tomorrow at less than 100%. I would play 75% of Breece Hall over 100% of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The guys that you had been putting into your lineups, even if they are banged up, even if they are less than 100%, I'm putting those guys in over Clyde. McKinnon, okay, there's a little bit more of an argument to be made there, especially in this game where you would think there are going to be points scored. Therefore, the Chiefs are going to have to continue to stay aggressive on offense, throwing the ball. Not that they don't want to do that anyway, but for all of the trials and tribulations of the Buffalo Bills, they've still got a formidable offense and one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Josh Allen. You should be able to operate as if the Chiefs are going to be playing tomorrow on offense aggressively. Tyler Higbee is doubtful for Week 14. Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua should continue to be funneled targets this week. Christian Watson has been ruled out, so if Aaron Jones is able to get back in there, you would think he gets a few more pass-catching opportunities if he's able to go. He's a difficult guy to trust, though. Aaron Jones or Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones and any running back that has been playing recently, that running back, if that makes sense. Donta Foreman's not listed on the injury report, so that Bears backfield is, I would say, equally unpredictable. Maybe Foreman gets the first crack at early rushing opportunities after some of the success he had earlier this year. Hopefully you don't have to navigate that Bears backfield. Could be a messy one. The Saints are banged up, but Derek Carr is expected to play. He should be able to give it a go. Chris Olave is expected to play, but I think that's more hope right now on the Saints side. Olave has been sick with the flu this week and has missed practice. So it's not an injury, but the flu is no joke. I'm sure most of y'all have to be at least somewhat familiar with that. If Olave is truly sick, if he's operating at less than 100%, you still have to put him into your lineup if he's out there, but maybe temper expectations a little bit. Taysom Hill, Juwan Johnson, both listed questionable. Taysom Hill has been the one that has been fantasy relevant at the tight end position pretty much all season outside of a couple of down weeks, but congrats, you're a tight end if you have down weeks in the NFL from a production perspective anyway. Hill did not practice all this week, so I'd be making other plans. If Johnson is able to go and Hill is not, then it's a boost for Juwan Johnson. Rashid Shaheed is still not expected to return. Apparently, his thigh injury is more serious than previously thought. Dallas Goedert is not, speaking of tight ends as it pertains to Taysom Hill, Dallas Goedert is not on the injury report for Week 14, so fire him up. You probably don't have a better option. If you happen to have, a situation where you have like Goddard and you also drafted Laporta, play Laporta at this point. But I'd be getting Goddard in there over the likes of, Evan Ingram, Cole Kmet, Kyle Pitts, Gerald Everett, so on and so forth. The one guy, I guess, between, where there might be some question marks is like Dallas Goedert versus Dalton Kincaid, because Dawson Knox is expected back this week. I would still play Kincaid. He looks like the better player than Dawson Knox. The Bills don't have a reason to go away from Dalton Kincaid just because Knox is expected to return. I would still play Kincaid over Goddard if you happen to have both of them. But Goddard over other usual suspects, Evan Ingram, Cole Kmet, Kyle Pitts, Gerald Everett, Brevin Jordan, like the streaming options, Goddard is ahead of all of those guys. I think both Seahawks running backs are expected to play. And now considered game time decisions. So I would be pivoting. I would be making other plans. If you have Walker or Charbonnet. And I think that's it. I think we're mostly up to speed. Lamar Jackson not listed on the injury report. Tyreek Hill's been taken off the injury report. Puka Nacua is off the injury report. So some good news on that front. Amari Cooper will play. Okay, that got confirmed earlier today. Again, I would still be making other plans. Derrick Henry off the injury report, so he's good to go as well. Those are the latest updates as far as injuries. If they impact or affect your team at all, just let me know. And we'll sort through all of that. This is a big week for a lot of folks. Some of you guys maybe have clinched playoff spots already. That's great. Maybe you're going for a bye week. Maybe that's the last thing to clinch. Congratulations. That's awesome. For the most part, though, there are still people yet to clinch playoff berths. I would say that is still the majority of folks outside of a couple of leagues where, maybe 4 or 5 of the spots have been clinched. But this is do or die week for a lot of people. Some people, maybe their playoffs don't start until week 16. If it's a league that, maybe only 4 teams make the playoffs, a little bit more competitive, maybe a smaller one. But generally speaking, the playoffs do start next week. If you haven't clinched a playoff spot, context. Give me the scenarios that you could. Now, we don't need a novel. Nobody wants to read War and Peace on a Saturday before football. But, do you feel like you need to be aggressive? Are you playing a team that on paper looks better than yours? Let's just call a spade a spade. We're all big enough people to be able to look at our opponent and think, I've got an uphill battle, as far as my roster on paper versus my opponent's roster on paper. Do you need to be aggressive? That way that might help determine if you're between an option that is a safe play versus a boom bust play, a guy that's a home run or all or nothing swing, so to speak. Like a Gabe Davis comes to mind. How aggressive do you think you need to play? All that good stuff. That'll be helpful. And then, of course, as you guys know, the scoring is always helpful. Starting 2 or 3 wide receivers, the context of your starting lineup is helpful. As much detail as you can give me is the easiest and fastest way that I can offer you up my suggestions for your situations. So with that, we can get into it. As always, whether you've been here before or whether you are new, I start with my members first. That is a perk of being a member of the channel. Your questions will jump the line. If you guys are feeling generous enough, you don't have to, but if you offer up a super to support the channel, that's also very much appreciated and will be a line jumper as well. Otherwise, if not, that is okay. I will get to everybody else in order. I only ask, at the very least, if you guys are enjoying the stream, the conversation, the dialogue, and all the engagement, if you could just like the stream for algorithm purposes, that would be much appreciated. Let's get into it. I see Greg and Jake. What's going on, guys? And Crumply Heads. Hello to my members. Good to see you guys. Hopefully it's a good weekend for everybody. And it's an important one. So let's get into it. Nico versus Garrett Wilson from Greg. I don't care about, Zach Wilson re-entering the lineup. I'm playing Nico Collins, even though it's a tough matchup, even though it's a tough spot. He's catching passes from CJ Stroud, and you would think Nico gets even more work, more opportunities with Tank Dell done for the season. Garrett Wilson's probably the better player, but he's in the much worse situation. Even on the road, I mean, Houston is the better team. It's a tough spot for Nico going up against Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed. It's a difficult secondary. It's a difficult assignment, but I like his situation better. I got to imagine he's the first read on at least a third of the, of the passing attempts for Houston tomorrow. His volume should be a incredibly high floor. Even in a tough matchup, I'll take Nico Collins catching passes from CJ Stroud over Garrett Wilson catching passes from Zach Wilson. And yeah, again, I'm not feeling Trevor Lawrence this week. If he goes, first and foremost, nobody can question his toughness, but he'd be going at less than 100% with less than 100% of his weapons with Christian Kirk down. On the road against Cleveland, I'm playing pretty much any alternate. So that certainly includes Josh Dobbs. Like, if it's a starting quarterback tomorrow, not named Trevor Lawrence, I probably like him more than Trevor Lawrence. Russell Wilson, Gardner Minshew, Jake Browning, Baker Mayfield. Maybe not like Drew Lock, but, Matthew Stafford, Joe Flacco. Like, I would prefer all of these guys to Trevor Lawrence. The situation is not as bad on paper for any of those guys. They're not operating at less than 100% in a way that Lawrence will be, and down Christian Kirk. I do not like Trevor Lawrence tomorrow. If he's able to go, he's a gamer. There's no doubt, but I'm not looking, I don't necessarily need the toughest guy when it comes to scoring fantasy points. I need a combination of talent and the best and better situations, and health. And Lawrence only checks one of those boxes this week. Yeah, not playing Trevor Lawrence. I will play any other option other than Trevor Lawrence. At least at quarterback. Yeah. Lawrence would honestly be like my QB. He'd be like the QB 30 this week for me if he's able to go. I don't know how he's. I gotta see him. Like, y'all saw that injury or how he got twisted up. It's great that he's even able to be considered to play tomorrow. You figured we were looking at like a month-long absence for him. The way he bended on Monday night. But there's about 25 other quarterbacks I'd rather start this week than Trevor Lawrence. I don't know how healthy he is. I need to see it. I need to see what Trevor looks like. If he's going to give it a go 1 week after an injury like that, like how's that going to go? How's he going to fare on the road? Tough defense, down Christian Kirk. I'll wait a week before I go back to Trevor Lawrence. Crumbly Heads, Mixon, Mostert, Eckler, choose two. Mixon's got the Colts at home. Eckler's got the Broncos, who have been much better against the run recently, and Eckler himself has not been spectacular the past few weeks. Mostert gets a good matchup against the Titans, who will be down Jeffrey Simmons. He picked up an injury. Was it last week? The week before? He's out this week. Um, that makes their defensive line much more susceptible. I think I would go Mostert and Mixon. I don't know that I necessarily buy that Austin Eckler is going to cede all this work to Joshua Kelly. Um, but it is noteworthy that the Broncos have been playing much better defense recently over the past 4 to 6 weeks. They've been a lot better than them when they started the season as like a historically bad unit. They've been much better. And Eckler himself has struggled recently. Like past 3 weeks, 18 rushing yards, 32 rushing yards. He did get 64 rushing yards in week 11, but he only caught 2 balls for 6 yards. I mean, that's where Eckler makes his money as a pass catcher out of the backfield. I mean, those numbers haven't quite been there this year. He's got one game over 5 catches this year, and it was in week 8 against Chicago, who is getting torched by everybody. He had 7 catches for 94 yards and a score. That was his only receiving touchdown on the year so far. He's only hit 5 catches in a game one other time other than that one. It was 2 weeks ago against Baltimore. He caught 5 for 32 yards, totaled 64 yards of offense. He was an RB3 that week. He had, again, decent numbers against Green Bay, who is giving up a ton of points to opposing running backs. Eckler had 10 carries for 64 yards that day, but he only had, again, 2 catches for 6 yards, so he didn't really give you anything. The past 2 matchups have been difficult by the numbers. On the road against New England, that's a bad matchup. At home against Baltimore, Ravens are tough anywhere. So you would expect Eckler performs a little bit better at home against Denver, but I mean, given the recent string and your other options, I think I would go the other options. I would go Mixon, who you know is going to be the bell cow at home against Indy, and I would go Raheem Mostert because both of those running backs are feasting, Mostert and Achane. And there's nothing scary about the matchup at home on Monday night. I would go Mixon and Mostert over Eckler. Yep. I can't believe we're here. Can't believe we're here with Austin Eckler. But yeah, the past few weeks, he's tough to trust based off of based off recent performance. And then Lockett or Downs. I mean, I think you got to go Downs. It's a better matchup, and Lockett might not have his quarterback. Geno Smith is shaping up to be a game time decision if he's able to go. He's going to be less than 100% with the groin injury that he's dealing with. I mean, at least for Downs, and it's been an up and down year for Tyler Lockett, and honestly, it's been more down than up. I know that Downs hasn't had a good game in the past 4 or 5 weeks, but this is a good matchup, and at least he has Minshew. I mean, I think I'd rather I'll take the guy catching passes from Minshew over the guy catching passes from either a less than 100% Geno, or it could be even worse. It could be Drew Lock. Lockett's been a little bit better than Downs recently, but they're, the odds are going to get even now. Seattle's playing with a backup quarterback, just like Indianapolis. So I think I would play Downs. And Jake has pick 3 in full PPR. Puka, Chase. Okay, these are all really good options. Well, you're starting Jefferson, you're starting Chase. And I guess I would play Pittman. I mean, Pittman's been awesome this year. Puka has as well, but Puka's been a little bit more up and down. Pittman's floor is so safe. It is so high. I mean, since Minshew was inserted as the starter, Pittman has taken off. Another 11 catches last week, 105 yards for touchdown. Week prior, 10 for 107. Then was the bye week, but the week before that, in a tough matchup against New England, 8 for 84, 8 for 64, 8 for 40 and a touchdown, 2 for 80 and a touchdown, 9 for 109. I mean, yeah, Pittman's floor is rock solid. Like his floor in PPR over the past 7 weeks, 8 weeks, his floor is 14, 15 points. Got to play Pittman. And then Chase and Jefferson are obvious. Yeah, you can't not play those guys. So I would say Puka is the odd man out against Baltimore. I would say Puka is the odd man out. But those are 3 really good alternatives to have. Yeah, Jefferson, Chase, Pittman. And then between Javonte and Keaton Mitchell, man, Javonte's frustrating, man. It's a good matchup. It's a really good matchup, but he keeps getting usurped by Jaleel McLaughlin. I guess maybe he gets a few more opportunities with Samaje Perine on the injury report. So maybe that boosts him a little bit. What I'm curious to see is if after the bye week, which the Ravens just had, does Keaton Mitchell's role in the backfield go up? That's what I'm curious about. So I would say if you want to play it safe, Javonte. But if you want to swing for the fences, if you think you need upside, if you think you need a bigger play, then Keaton Mitchell. I would be very curious to see if his role expands coming out of the bye week, which is not an uncommon trend for rookies. Like after their team's bye week, a rookie gets a little bit more involved, more acclimated, more utilized on offense. That is a trend that we see a good amount. So I would say Javonte is your floor, and his floor is higher if Samaje Perine can't go. So obviously keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on Samaje Perine's status tomorrow. If Samaje can't go, you would think Javonte sees the field at least a little bit more. So it depends on what you need. Javonte, floor, and the floor would be higher without Perine. Keaton Mitchell is a home run, is a swing for the fences. Between Ridley and Rice, and it's okay. If you're a heavy favorite, then I would maybe just go Javonte, but Keaton Mitchell could be a fun upside play. Between Ridley and Rice, I guess I would go Rice. Ridley should see more opportunities without Christian Kirk, but it's a brutal matchup tomorrow against Denzel Ward and potentially without Trevor Lawrence, especially if Trevor Lawrence doesn't go. And honestly, even if he does, I'm not enthusiastic about the Jaguars offense tomorrow. I would maybe just go Rice. Even if Lawrence plays. Like, how can we have any confidence in him? Y'all saw how he got hurt. I don't know how that we can have that much confidence in Trevor Lawrence tomorrow. I would just play Rice. I would just play Rice. I would not want to play Calvin Ridley. I would not want to play Zay Jones. I really don't want to play Evan Ingram. Not on the road against Cleveland with potentially CJ Beathard. I don't want to go that route. So maybe just go Javonte. unless you want to get a little crazy with it. And then I would go Rice kind of definitively over Ridley. Greg, don't put Walker in over those guys. I mean, he's no. The vibes have been icky on Ken Walker for the past few weeks. He's a game time decision. It's on the road against San Francisco. It's not a great spot, and Geno might not play. No, I would play ETN. ETN is the only Jacksonville Jaguar that I want to start tomorrow. He should just come through on some volume. And as you know, you never need to put McCaffrey in start sit questions. All right, back up to the top. I think I got all my members. I think I got everybody. Would I make any changes? No. McCaffrey, Moss, Pittman. No, I think you have it right. You have it right. I don't want to play. If you have McCaffrey, Moss, and James Cook, then I don't want to play Breece Hall tomorrow. I definitely don't want to play T. Higgins. I don't want to play Garrett Wilson over any of those guys, and I don't want to play Ingram over Kincaid. Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with how you have it. Let's see. Gerald Everett or Brevin Jordan. Yeah, I mean, tight end dart throws, right? Jordan, decent matchup against the Jets. Everett's been up and down, but is sort of maybe, getting some increased opportunities out of necessity because of how weak the Chargers pass catching options are behind Keenan Allen. Dalton Schultz will not play. So he'll get an opportunity. I guess I might give the slight nod to Brevin Jordan. No Tank, not only is Dalton Schultz out, but Tank Dell is also out. So somebody else is going to have to step up. And Noah Brown is still on the injury report. He's still questionable. I think I would go Jordan. I would go Jordan over Everett. I think his opportunity is a little stronger. Stroud is playing better than Herbert. That's one. And two, somebody needs to step up in that Texans offense. No Tank Dell anymore. Obviously, Dalton Schultz is already out. And Noah Brown is questionable, I think, with the knee injury. I think I would just go, on one hand with the Chargers and Everett, Mike Williams is gone for the year. Quentin Johnston is, man, early returns are bad on him. And Josh Palmer's obviously still out. Very similar situations. But for me, what it comes down to is Stroud is playing better than Herbert right now. So I'll take the guy catching passes from the quarterback who's playing better. I'll take Jordan. One flex. Charbonnet, Hopkins, Smith and Jigba, Keaton Mitchell, Roschon. I would be very cautious about Charbonnet tomorrow. Like the Seattle backfield is an avoid for me. I mean, neither guy, we don't even know if they're going to play. It's not a great matchup. They might be down Geno Smith on top of that. If it's full PPR, I would go Hopkins. And if it's half PPR, I would go Keaton Mitchell. So it depends on your scoring. Smith and Jigba, I like Smith and Jigba, but I can't trust him on a week-to-week basis yet. And if he's down Geno Smith, I definitely don't want to play him. Roschon can't be considered. I would say Hopkins if it's full PPR and Keaton Mitchell if it's half PPR. So it depends. Depends on your scoring. My playoff defenses, if the Rams are still out there, they're in good shape. They get Washington week 15. Give me a second. I forget what their matchups are, but I know they're solid. Um, they get Washington, they get New Orleans at home, which is not scary, not with the way Derek Carr's been playing. And then week 17 championship week, they get the Giants. That's a road game, but it's a great matchup. So the Rams are a solid one. The Falcons are a solid one. Week 15, they get the Carolina Panthers. Week 16, not as enticing. They get the Colts, but it is a home game, so they might be okay there. And then week 17, they get the Bears. So they could be. It is a road game, so it's a dome team playing a cold weather game. But they probably should be able to control that game with their run game. Atlanta should. They are, for all their issues, they are better than the Chicago Bears. And you're looking for teams in the playoffs that can win games. Like who do you just prefer in a matchup situation? You want defenses that are playing on a team that has a lead. Because if they have a lead that allows the defense to play a little bit more aggressively, play for sacks and potentially forcing turnovers, they can be more aggressive with a lead. So you're looking for teams that you think are just going to win. If you don't have the Cowboys, the Browns, the Dolphins, the Chiefs, the Rams are good options. The Falcons are good options. And then just look at teams that are playing bad opponents. Washington's not very good, but week 16, they play the Jets at home. That's not that bad. Anybody who's playing Carolina, again, I know that it's the Falcons that play the Panthers in week 15. The Packers play them in week 16. So the Packers would be a good option week 16. Jacksonville is a good option week 17 because they're hosting the Panthers. Like, you want to find somebody like the Rams. I think the Colts have a decent schedule as well. The Falcons have a decent schedule as well. So like those three are good. Like, they've got decent 3-game stretches. Pittsburgh for Indianapolis, Atlanta for Indianapolis week 16, and then week 17 they play Las Vegas with Aiden O'Connell, and that's a home game. So the Colts are a decent option. Falcons, Colts, Rams, decent 3-game stretches, and then anybody playing the Jets or the Panthers. Which for the Jets, it's again, Miami plays them week 15. They're probably rostered. Washington plays them week 16. They're available. If you can stomach it. And then on the road against Cleveland, if you have the Browns, hopefully you make it to championship week. You got a beautiful matchup with the Cleveland Browns defense. And then for the Panthers, again, week 15, next week, the Atlanta Falcons. Week 16, the Green Bay Packers. Week 17, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Those are the matchups that the Panthers get. So one of those two strategies should work as far as playoff defenses. Tucker Kraft, Michael Mayer also. Nah, go Brevin Jordan. I would personally go Jordan. It's a great matchup for Tucker Kraft, but I don't know. I'm more drawn to guys playing with who do I think is the best quarterback? I'll take Stroud over Jordan Love right now. I know Love's playing pretty good. And Christian Watson is out, so I don't know. Maybe Kraft sees a couple more opportunities, but I kind of want to play Jordan. And Michael Mayer, I think, is still a part-time player for Vegas, so I'll take Jordan. I'll still take Jordan. Need a flex in full PPR. Lockett, Godwin, Hubbard, Keaton Mitchell, or Downs. And you could also do Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Keaton Mitchell. Swing for the fences. Go for the upside. Lockett has been kind of blah. Chris Godwin has been kind of blah. Keaton Mitchell presents some real upside, and especially coming out of the team's bye week. Generally speaking, that's when rookies start to get more involved in the offense. It's not an uncommon trend to see. So I would expect Keaton Mitchell to have an increased role coming out of the Ravens bye week. at home. And I thought I heard in Baltimore the weather might be a little gross tomorrow. Uh, it is calling for rain. Give me a second. I'm going to pull that up. So if the weather is bad, you feel a little bit better about the run game than you do about the pass game, which could mean that could be bad for Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, but I don't think you can take them out of your lineup. At least not Puka anyway. Okay. 100% chance of rain tomorrow, but it looks like I got to double check what the wind is like. Anyway, Keaton Mitchell should be in a good spot regardless if it's bad weather, because running the football is not as impacted. Hanging on to the football certainly is, but the strategy of running the football is not as impacted by the elements, by potentially bad weather. I'll see if I can come back to that one. Yeah, I would go Keaton Mitchell. Dude, weather.com. I don't know why. It moves so slow. I'll see if I can do it on my phone. And then in half PPR, CEH, Elijah Moore, Keaton Mitchell. I would definitely play Keaton Mitchell. I'm playing Keaton Mitchell over somebody like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't necessarily trust that Clyde, just because Andy Reid's, he's going to be the lead back. Yeah, I'll believe that when I see it. I think I would continue to play Elijah Moore as well. I know Amari Cooper is cleared to play, but he had to pass through concussion protocol. He's dealing with a rib injury as well. Moore seems to have a good connection with Joe Flacco dating back to Moore's rookie year with the Jets. I would rock with Moore. I would rock with Elijah Moore, and I would rock with Keaton Mitchell. I'm not playing Clyde Edwards-Helaire over guys like that. Okay, hourly weather in Baltimore starting at kickoff. 99% chance of rain, but only 10-mile-per-hour winds, so that's not bad. And it looks like that's going to hold steady throughout the game. So the rain is a pain in the ass, but the wind is not as bad as previously reported. So the pass catchers in Rams-Ravens are fine if you need to continue to fire them up. The rain is obviously a little annoying, a little frustrating, but Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Zay Flowers if you need him, Isaiah Likely if you're streaming tight ends, all of those guys I would continue to fire up if you had previous plans of firing them up, still fire them up. And then certainly the running backs, they should be heavily utilized tomorrow. So, yeah, Keaton Mitchell and Elijah Moore. Blue Crew, thank you for the super. That was very kind of you. Much appreciated. Zach Moss or David Montgomery. We can't play. So we can't play both of these guys. I always say that. I always feel like I say that. Duh, obviously, other than why would you ask me the question then? But it's just like these are good options, and so it's like I want to be able to play both of them. But if you can't, then we will sort this out. On one hand, you've got David Montgomery playing in a revenge game against his old team. And in the Lions' first game against the Bears this year, he scored 12 for 76 and a touchdown, 2 catches for 22 yards. Montgomery's got a rock-solid floor. And in a revenge game against the Bears, and I know that that it kind of already happened because they already played Chicago once earlier this season, actually only a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I got to think that is still a factor because now it's Montgomery's first game back in Chicago First game back as a Lion after spending the first, 3 or 4 years of his career, 4 years of his career in Chicago in the Windy City. Now it's his first game back in that stadium. I got to think that angle, that element still exists for David Montgomery for at least one more game, that first game back. As for Moss, he's got a spectacular matchup against Cincinnati. Over the last 4 weeks, Cincinnati is a top 8 matchup by the numbers to opposing running backs. Chicago has actually been a little bit tougher against the run. They're a little bit more middle of the pack the past month of the season. So by the numbers, the matchup is in Moss's favor. Now, that being said, Montgomery is far and away the more productive player this year on a per-week basis. See if I can get the, what's the weather for Cincinnati tomorrow? I'm just bringing up the weather reports for Cincinnati. Weather.com moves so damn slow. Okay. At kickoff tomorrow, 38 degrees. A little bit of wind. No precipitation. Okay. So we're all set there. So that's good. I have a similar question for Chicago. What is the weather in Chicago? These are factors that I like to keep in mind, because you never know what type of angle the weather could play. I would say Montgomery he's the proven guy here. I think he's earned the right to get the call between him and Zach Moss. Like Moss got all of the opportunities last week. So if you want to chase volume, then the answer would be Moss. But if you want to chase the production, the safer offense, the better offensive line, and the guy who has delivered this year on a per-week basis, that's Montgomery. As much as I like Zach Moss this week, I think I have to give the respect to Montgomery. And I'll say he is your rock solid high floor play. Montgomery is your rock solid safe floor play. Moss is the swing for the fences if you think you need to be aggressive. If you think you need to be aggressive, Moss. If you think you can play it safe, like if you feel like you're a comfortable favorite, your team is better, you just need to show up and score some points, Montgomery. But if you think it's going to be like a true battle and you're a potential underdog, you're like paper versus paper, you're like my team is not as good, then maybe swing for the fences and go Moss. I wish you could play both. Both are in great spots tomorrow. I like both for different reasons. And hopefully that helps. Appreciate the super. Very kind of you. Okay. Where did I wrap up? Yeah, okay. I see where I'm at. With Kirk out, you only have Rice and London. I would not drop London. No, I would not drop London for Elijah Moore or any of those, like a Jerry Jeudy. I would not do that. London is incredibly frustrating to have. but he's too talented to drop for these other guys. His home games, he's worth starting. His home games, he's worth starting. On the road, it's it's tougher to feel good about him. But at home, London delivers. And he's got a home game tomorrow against Tampa, who is getting absolutely crushed by opposing wide receivers. And they're down multiple players on their defense, Tampa is. I would expect London to have a good game tomorrow. Because he always does at home, or he usually does at home. Week 15 against the Panthers, you probably don't want to play London. Week 17 against the Bears, even though that's probably a decent matchup, you probably don't want to play Drake London. Week 16 against Indianapolis, he's on the radar. You could play him. I would not drop London, not yet. There's a chance that he puts up really good numbers tomorrow. And yes, Greg, sorry. Yes, no, keep Kyron in. Do not play Walker. Walker's way too dicey. I don't trust him tomorrow. You've got really good options. Stick with those really good options. I don't trust, take the guys that you are like, yeah, I can trust these guys to it. Like, I know they're going to play over the guy who hasn't practiced all week. We haven't seen him play for a couple weeks. No, I don't want to. If you have Kyron Williams over Walker, 10 times out of 10 tomorrow. Yeah. Keep the guys in that you have. Keep the guys in that you have. You'll be and you're all set. You have what you have should not be changed. What you have is correct. Yeah. So hold London. Don't drop him for other guys. His value should go up tomorrow after he plays Tampa. I would think at home against that defense, London has a good game. I would think. Would I play Singletary or Clyde Edwards-Helaire this week? Yeah. Singletary. I'm not taking anybody out of my lineup that I had already previously been playing. Devin Singletary is worthy of another opportunity, even though he didn't have a great game last week. He's got a really good matchup against the Jets. The Jets can be had by opposing running backs. Yes, Dameon Pierce is back, and so that caps Singletary some, but I feel stronger about his role and involvement in that offense over Clyde's. I mean, maybe it's a fool me once or whatever. Shame on you. Shame on whatever you want to call it, like with Clyde, but things have just not materialized for Clyde in general. Now, he is like a multi-year. He's been in the league for a few years at this point, so maybe some experience and time sitting on the bench has done him some good. I have no way to quantify that. I have no way to confirm if that's possibly a thing. Maybe he's ready to retake his opportunity. I don't know. Or maybe he just stinks. I don't know. Maybe he comes through on some volume tomorrow. It doesn't hurt anybody ever to be attached to Patrick Mahomes, and the Bills are not a dangerous, scary matchup on defense. So Clyde should be fine if he gets in the game. I also would not be surprised if Jerick McKinnon was the first guy in for the Chiefs and the second guy in for the Chiefs on their third or fourth possession is Deneric Prince, because we've seen that script play out before. You think that there's a guy he's going to recapture his opportunity, and then he just doesn't. And he could. Obviously, every single situation is different, but to sit here, anybody, not just me or anybody here or anybody else on any other channels or offering advice or writing articles, whatever have you, anybody sitting here assuming automatically predicting oh, yeah, we can definitely trust that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to get 15 opportunities tomorrow. He might. Or he might get 5. That wouldn't surprise me either. I'm not playing him over guys that I've already seen play and play well this year. That includes somebody like Devin Singletary. I don't like Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Kareem Hunt. Okay, fine. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But that's That's the Mendoza line. That is like that is like the very end. Any other viable options, and I'm pivoting to them over Clyde. So yeah, Singletary. Um, Two at flex: Puka, Walker, Smith and Jigba, or McKinnon. Puka and McKinnon. I don't know that Walker's going to play, and I like Smith and Jigba a lot. His numbers should have been even better last week. He should that catch he had in the end zone should have been a touchdown. That was ridiculous that got overruled. I like Smith and Jigba a lot, but if he's down to Drew Lock against the 49ers, I don't want any part of that. Give me Puka. Even though it's not a great spot against the Ravens, I'll take Puka. He's done enough. At this point, Puka has done enough this season to earn the benefit of the doubt, even in a tough spot. I got to play Puka. And I'll play McKinnon without Isaiah Pacheco. McKinnon, it should be noted, Jerick McKinnon has not played the past 2 weeks. However, he doesn't have an injury designation going into this week. Ultimately, it would appear that he's fine for this week. He's fine to go against Buffalo. Higher upside between Noah Brown and Jaden Reed. I mean, I'll take the guy who's healthy now, I guess, and say Reed. Brown's opportunity is there now without Tank Dell, but he's got to prove he's healthy first. I mean, he's questionable with the knee injury. He's missed time because of the knee injury. Christian Watson is out this week, so Reed's opportunity is big. He only had 4 catches for 16 yards last week. That's not great. But prior to that, Reed has been rock solid. And Reed has been a pretty solid contributor pretty much all year. Noah Brown has not. Noah Brown just had 2 big blow-up games. I would say Jaden Reed. Like, yes, Noah could emerge more now because Tank Dell is done, but Jaden Reed, with Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs in the lineup, has been a consistent producer this year. So I'll take Reed. And Blue Crew, I think I got that question. I took care of that. Appreciate the super again. Let me know if you want any more thoughts there. But I think I would, like I said, Moss ceiling, Montgomery high floor, if you think you can play it safe. Thoughts on Keaton Mitchell. So I hope you, if you weren't able to catch them, because I've talked about him at a decent amount like earlier in the stream, but I will rehash. I think he's a moonshot play this week, and I mean that in a good way. I mean that in a positive way. I think his upside is incredibly strong. He is the guy in that Ravens backfield that gives them some burst, that gives them some juice. The only thing that we have been waiting on is for his role to expand. That's pretty much what has been holding him back, is needing a larger role, needing a greater opportunity to feel stronger about his potential. I wouldn't be surprised if that role increases this week, with the Ravens having coming out of their bye week. Again, this is a common trend. You see rookies get more involved after the bye week. Ravens just had theirs. Obviously, they're down J.K. Dobbins. They've got Gus Edwards, who's a rock-solid veteran, has been a steady producer for them. Justice Hill is a decent change of pace option, but, not exactly super flashy. Keaton Mitchell gives that backfield a burst that the other options do not. I got to think his role is going to expand moving forward. He's a very enticing option, not just tomorrow, but in moving forward. I got to think Keaton Mitchell's role on this team is about to go up. Would I start DeAndre Swift? I mean, over who? In a vacuum? I'm not in a vacuum. I don't know. It's not a great matchup. It depends on who your other options are. I would say he's like a flex play, but there's lots of guys who are flex plays, so I don't know who your other options are. Swift's involvement in the offense can clearly be a little up and down. They should need him this week. I got to think he gets more involved this week, but I mean, depending on who your other options are, you might want to pivot off of him. It's not a great matchup. Devontae Smith or Nico Collins? I think I would give the slight nod to Nico. Devontae's been playing great, but Dallas Goedert is back. I wouldn't be surprised if Smith's ceiling is capped a little bit with Goddard's return, because that's proven to historically be the case. Smith is still excellent, but with Dallas Goedert coming back on a per game basis, he gets fewer opportunities when Dallas Goedert's in the lineup. Nico Collins is going to have every opportunity pretty much to himself. Dalton Schultz is out. Tank Dell is out. Noah Brown is questionable. Yes, it's a tough matchup going against Sauce Gardner, but Nico might see like 35 to 40% of the looks tomorrow. I think he can come through on some volume. If you don't trust that matchup, I don't blame you, but I would probably, like, if you want to go Devontae Smith because you don't like that Nico's going against Sauce Gardner, I don't blame you, but I would go Nico. I would go Nico. Slightly. It's close. It's not clear cut, but I guess I would go Nico. One running back, CEH, McKinnon, or Roshan. McKinnon. I have confidence in Jerick McKinnon tomorrow. If Clyde proves me wrong, good for Clyde, but I just can't imagine that Jerick McKinnon isn't the guy who gets the most opportunities. Maybe he doesn't get the most snaps, but I would think he gets the most opportunities in that Chiefs backfield. He's the most reliable guy. He's the most proven guy. He's going to probably get the third down pass catching opportunities. That's crucial in full or even half PPR. McKinnon. I don't trust Walker. You'll know, and guess what? They both play in the late window, so you'll know if Walker is available or not. I would probably play McKinnon. Unless we get some great vibes on Kenneth Walker that he's feeling great and he looks to carry, a huge majority of the touches, a big workload tomorrow. If like that's the reports or whatever, then great, awesome. But I would probably just play McKinnon. And then Nico over Zay Flowers. Yeah, I guess I would do that. Like Flowers has got really good involvement with Mark Andrews out, but Nico, I think you have to fire up Nico. Flowers has good involvement, especially since Mark Andrews went down. I think I prefer Nico. He projects as more of a bona fide, from an opportunity perspective and everything, wide receiver 1. On a team that wants to throw the ball. Baltimore, they throw it with they'll open it up with Lamar, but I don't know. The vibes feel stronger for Nico Collins right now. And then defense question. Miami or Baltimore in the rain. Miami's got the Titans and Will Levis. Baltimore has Matthew Stafford. Miami. I mean, both are really good options, but I'll take Miami. I'll take the defense playing against a rookie at home. Baltimore's at home as well, but they're playing Matthew Stafford, he's a veteran. He's better than Will Levis. He's been around the block. He's going to be a little bit tougher to, Baltimore is certainly capable of making big plays against anybody, but you're looking at percentages and we all are. We're looking at percentages, likelihoods. We're trying to predict the future essentially. Who has a better chance on a per play basis to make a play? The defense playing the veteran or the defense playing the rookie? I'll take the defense playing the rookie. I would play Miami. I would play Miami. Let's see. Full PPR, Thielen, Cup, or Cooper. So Cooper did pass concussion protocol, but that doesn't mean that I feel really good about him. Thielen, I mean, the well has completely dried up. Well, I guess in a way you could say the same thing about Cup. I would just go with Cup. I know that it feels like you're pulling teeth at this point with Cooper Cup. He scored a touchdown last week, but prior to that, it has not been good. I like him over Cooper because I like Cup over Amari Cooper because Cooper's been on the injury report. He did clear concussion protocol, but he was dealing with the concussion, and he's got a rib injury that he's fighting through. And then as for Thielen, I mean, I don't know, man. That early season success feels like a long time ago. The Panthers are bad on offense. They fired the coach. They fired a lot of other offensive coordinators. The offensive line is in shambles. Bryce Young's getting sacked at crazy rates. Again, start defenses against the Carolina Panthers. I would just roll with Cup and hope for the best. Likely, Brevin Jordan, or Conklin. So I'll go Likely here. I think Jordan is a rock-solid streamer. I think Likely has ascended above the streaming ranks. He's a regular low-end tight end one with opportunity and volume. Now, he's going to be dealing with rain tomorrow, and I see that there are a couple of questions about Baltimore and the weather tomorrow. I'll just kind of gloss over this quickly, and I can bring this up again if anybody else misses it coming in later, whatever. I'm not super worried. And the reason I'm not super worried in general is because it's the rain. Yes, there's going to be rain, but the wind is not that bad. According to the forecast, we're looking at 10-mile-per-hour winds. That's pretty standard. It might feel a little less uncomfortable with a rainstorm, but 10-mile-per-hour winds do not affect, it doesn't have that type of impact. If it were 30-mile-per-hour winds because it's a true storm, yes, that would suck. If there are swirling winds and, the football's going to be more off target on throws because the wind just takes it and the field goal game is completely neutralized, that's one thing. That's a little different. That can impact an entire game. 10-mile-per-hour winds, even in the rain, I'm not super worried about. So Lamar Jackson is fine. Keaton Mitchell as a rock solid upside play is fine. Isaiah Likely is fine. Zay Flowers is fine. On the other side, Kyron Williams is fine. Puka is fine. I don't love Cooper Kupp tomorrow, but if you need him, I'm not worried about the rain with a veteran like Cooper Kupp. That's of all of my issues with Cooper Kupp, rain is the last thing right now. That's my last concern with Cooper Kupp. There are other issues there. That being said, he's earned the benefit of the doubt, even though he's had a really bad stretch these past 5 or 6 weeks. So those are my overarching thoughts on the weather in Baltimore tomorrow. Yes, it's going to rain. It looks like it could rain for the entire game, but because the wind is not too serious, again, according to the forecast right now, I'm not super worried about anybody playing in that game. Definitely not the running backs, and I'll throw the pass catchers in there as well. I'm not super concerned with 10-mile-per-hour winds. So I'll say, and I kind of wrap that up because I got a couple of questions as it pertains to the Baltimore weather. Going back to likely Brevin Jordan or Conklin, I'll take likely because I think he has elevated over streaming status with the loss of Mark Andrews. Catching passes from Lamar Jackson and Odell Beckham is like in and out of the lineup with injuries and whatever have you. He's like a part-time player. Likely should continue to get opportunities other than Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman in the passing game. I'll take likely. I'll take likely. Start two, bench one. Oh, so this was the Smith call, and you're adding Jacobs. Well, you're playing Jacobs. You're playing Josh Jacobs. So I guess since I already said I prefer Nico Collins, I guess I would sit Devontae Smith. But you got to play Josh Jacobs. I mean, who do they get? They got the Vikings. Is that in Vegas? It doesn't matter. You got to play Josh Jacobs. Got to play Josh Jacobs. So, and I mentioned my thoughts on Nico versus Devontae Smith. It's close. It's very tight. Both good options. With Dallas Goedert back for the Eagles, I'll give the slight nod to Nico Collins, even in a tough matchup. McKinnon or Clyde, even in standard, man, I think I would go. There's more of an argument for Clyde, but I feel like of any one of these Chiefs running backs that we can feel decent about as far as having a role tomorrow, just based on previous performances and just past usage in general, I gotta think it's McKinnon. I just don't know. I know that Andy Reid said that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be like, if they have a main guy or a lead guy, then it's going to be Clyde tomorrow. I don't trust Andy Reid when Andy Reid said he's going to use a running back most of the time. Surely Andy Reid's not making that up for coach speak purposes or whatever. Yeah, I mean, could he? Sure. Am I trusting Andy Reid, 16 hours before kickoff or whatever it is? Do I take him at his word when he's talking about the usage of a backfield before the game is being played? No, I don't trust Andy Reid there. And I mean that, he's earned that. It's a guessing game. It's a chess match, right? He's playing the long game. He's giving you coach speak. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be true. It could be true. It could also mean that Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets 8 opportunities tomorrow. I got to believe it. I got to see it to believe it. I'll take McKinnon even in standard. I'll take McKinnon over him even in standard. I don't know about Clyde, man. Will he get 15 opportunities tomorrow? Maybe. Will Deneric Prince get more touches than him by like 5 to 7 touches? I wouldn't be surprised by that either. The only guy that I'm starting over Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I've mentioned his name a couple times, is somebody like Kareem Hunt, where Jerome Ford has taken all of the pass catching opportunities. He leads over the past 4 or 5 weeks in carries over Kareem Hunt. Like, Kareem Hunt's a desperation play. Like, that's where Clyde Edwards-Helaire comes into play. Other than that, I need to see it for a week first with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I would fire up a McKinnon. If I have the option between the two, even in standard scoring, I would fire up Jerick McKinnon. Start one. Metcalf, Swift, Cooks, Flowers. What's the scoring? Because there's 3 receivers here and a running back. Metcalf might be without his quarterback. Swift is in a really tough matchup. The play here might be Flowers. And we're not going to know Geno Smith's availability until the later game. If it's Drew Lock, that hurts DK Metcalf on the road against San Francisco. I know that DK can come through with game script and volume and just, DK is one of those wide receivers where he maybe doesn't necessarily need a good quarterback to throw him the ball. He just needs a quarterback to throw him the ball, and he'll be in the vicinity. I'll say I think I'll tentatively say Metcalf, even with even if it's Drew Lock for the Seattle Seahawks. Metcalf has had some big performances. Now, 3 of the past 4 weeks, he's been very good. The 1 week he was not good was against these 49ers on Thanksgiving night. Metcalf only had 3 catches for 32 yards. This is a bounce back spot for him on the road. You would think that they're going to throw the ball more than they normally would, especially with their running backs banged up. I would probably go Metcalf. Flowers is like a little bit more of a home run play, a little bit more of an up. Like he might have more upside, but he probably has a lower floor. Flowers could be an aggressive play, but I don't necessarily know if I fully vouch it. I think I would go with Metcalf. Even if Geno is out, I'll just bet on the most proof. The biggest combination of these options, the biggest combination of talent and production and proof of, consistency, or well, maybe not week to week consistency, but season to season consistency it's Metcalf. Most talented, Metcalf, all that stuff. Combination of talent and taking advantage of opportunities, it's Metcalf. So I guess I would go with Metcalf, even if he's dealing with a backup quarterback situation. The 49ers can be thrown on. That is one thing about their defense. They are ferocious in a lot of areas, but they are susceptible to production from opposing wide receivers. They're more middle of the pack than they are top 7 or 8 in any defensive category when it comes to stopping the pass. The 49ers can be thrown on. That is one thing with them. One flex in full PPR. London, Amari Cooper, Breece Hall, or Clyde. London. He's at home. Like, he has good game. Obviously, he got good, he got goose egged. He got shut out in week 1. That was a long time ago, and they've since course corrected. Look at every other home game that Drake London has played in. He performs well at home. That's one piece of the puzzle here. The other piece of the puzzle, is the Bucs defense. They are really bad. And I think Devin White is out. I don't know if Vita Vea is playing. I know he was listed questionable for tomorrow. He's questionable, but Devin White is out. Jamel Dean is out. They're missing key pieces on their defense, and their defense isn't that good anyway. In full PPR, at home, London. Cooper's banged up, dealing with injuries. Breece is dealing with injuries, hasn't practiced this week, and the Jets' offense is sputtering out. And I'm not there. Clyde, I can't. Given those other names, I'm not there with Clyde. Clyde would be more in the desperation category as opposed to some of these other mainstays that you've had as options over the course of the entire season. I would go Drake London. I think he's going to do fine tomorrow at home against a defense that is susceptible to giving up production pretty much across the board. I would play London. Trade Amon-Ra for A.J. Brown. I mean, it's a stud for a stud. I mean, do you have Jared Goff or do you have Jalen Hurts and you're trying to do you have Jalen Hurts and you're trying to complete the stack? Yeah, I mean, you're talking about two top, like, in full PPR, these are two top 5 receivers rest of season. And I guess, yes, regardless of scoring, these are two top 5 wide receivers rest of season at their position. I mean, you're trading a stud for a stud. Like, no, I don't know. I mean, it depends. I guess for that, it's like if two people can come to an agreement on a trade like that, it just comes down to like, do you want AJ Brown more than Amon Ra? If you yourself just want AJ Brown more for whatever reason, then sure, make the trade. I mean, it's a stud for a stud. If it doesn't happen, you still have Amon Ra. Like, yeah, it's a stud for a stud. I wouldn't. Um, like, sure, yes, but also I don't think there's not like a who wins in that trade. You're talking about two top 5 guys rest of season. I don't think there's either. I don't think there's like like trying to trade Amon Ra for AJ Brown. There's no angle there. There's no, and vice versa. There's no like advantage there. They're two both elite playmakers. No stack involved. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it would come down to, do you want to do it? Right? Like, I don't think anybody's getting fleeced. I don't think anybody's getting taken advantage of. I think it's a fair stud for stud trade. It just comes down to like, if you're in agreement, if you and the person you're having this conversation with are like in agreement, and you are just like, I just want AJ Brown, then sure, go for it. But I wouldn't say like there's not like a winner here. I would say both teams are you're trading one of your best players and acquiring one of their best players. I mean, and they're both in the top 5 for me rest of the season. It's like, who are the top 5 receivers for the rest of the season? It's probably Tyreek Hill, these two guys, CeeDee Lamb, Keenan Allen, and like that's it. Like maybe, and Jamar Chase is right outside, but he's more honorable mention because Joe Burrow got hurt. Like, yeah, yeah. It just comes down to like, if you're both in agreement, like, do you want to do this? Yeah. Do you want to do this? Yeah. All right, let's do it. And you're just like, I just prefer to have AJ Brown, then sure. Um, but I don't think there's like, nobody's winning or losing this trade. It's both like, okay, I'll give you my stud for your stud. And they're both in the same tier. They're both in the same tier. Not worried about matchups. You're talking about two bulletproof wide receivers. So again, if this is the angle that you're looking at and you want to make the trade, then sure, make the trade. But I'm not worried about matchups for either one of these guys. You're talking about, I mean, everybody has down weeks, but these two dudes are bulletproof. Regardless of which one you have, they're in your lineup every week. Amon Ra could be gone on the road against Baltimore, on one leg, and it's just like, okay, we're still firing him up. They're both really good options. So, but if you prefer AJ and you have the trade in place, then yeah, sure, make the trade. Olave or Puka. So Olave's been he's sick with the flu, but he's expected to go tomorrow. Puka's on the road against Baltimore. Tough matchup, tough spot. If Olave can play, I would play Olave. They're at home against the Panthers. Decent enough matchup by the numbers. Tougher matchup for Puka against the Ravens. The Ravens are giving up bottom 8 production to wide receivers over the last 4 weeks, so they're a tougher matchup. The Panthers are a little bit more middle of the pack, and Olave's at home. As long as he's active, because he's missed practice and all this stuff, he's been sick with the flu, which is no joke. The flu is no joke. I'm sure we've all dealt with that at one point or another. If he's able to go, I'll take Olave. Fields or Tua, I mean, yeah. If your gut tells you Fields, I mean, I'm not trying to cop out here. This is genuinely something that I do tell people at the end of the day. I do tell people this. I say, go with your gut. Like, if I'm giving you my thoughts on your situation, you might not agree with what I'm saying. And that's okay. I tell people that all the time. That's okay. Go, like, at the end of the day, this is your team. Go with your gut. If your gut is telling you Fields, I would go Fields. They're both QB1 options this week. Fields is a little bit more erratic. Tua is obviously the much more polished and accomplished passer. Fields has obviously the X factor of being able to run at an elite level, even though he hasn't to the same degree that he was last year. This is a great matchup for Justin Fields. The Lions are giving up lots of fantasy production to quarterbacks recently and on the season in general. Tua's got elite weapons to throw the football to. He has been the much better pure quarterback. And the Titans are not a bad matchup for opposing quarterbacks either. The Lions over the past 4 weeks are a top 4 matchup, most favorable matchup for opposing quarterbacks. They're top 4. But the Titans are top 8. Like, it's not that big of a drop-off. So it's 2 really good matchups. You know, one has proven himself as a thrower of the football, and that's Tua. One has not in Fields, but obviously he's got the Konami code upside as a rusher. And that's the upside play, right? That's the home run play is Fields running around. If your gut is telling you Fields and you want to go for the home run, you want to go for the upside, because I would say Fields is the upside play and Tua is the safe play, then go with Fields. Both are really good matchups. Both are in good situations. Tua's in a better situation from a Miami Dolphin team perspective. The Dolphins are a better team than the Bears. Tua and has obviously incredible weapons to throw the football to in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Plus, with the elite speed in the backfield. Yes, obviously, Mostert and Achane in theory, they're just the runners, but all they need to do is take a screen or a quick dump off to the house, and Tua gets all the points for that, or all the quarterback points anyway. I don't think you can go wrong. Fields has the Konami code upside as a runner, and so if that's where you want to go, I don't blame you. I'm starting Fields myself in a must-win situation. I have to win to get in. I'm playing Justin Fields. I'm rolling with the upside. So if your gut is telling you something, go with your gut. And I'll say this, for anybody, if what I'm telling you is what your gut doesn't want to hear, then go with your gut. Go with what you believe is the right call at the end of the day. That goes for everybody. I'm only here to I'll offer you my thoughts based off of my homework that I've done. But if you don't like what I'm saying, that's okay. I'm not going to take it personally. If you're just like, hey, I don't agree with that. I like my other guy better. I'm just going to go with my other guy. Go with the other guy. Go with your gut. This is your team. But I'm okay with Fields and the home run play. All right, I got to jump down to Greg because, again, for anybody just coming in, I do get to my members first. That is a perk of the channel. So I see everybody's questions. I'm not skipping anybody. I do just jump down to my members. So appreciate everybody's patience as I work through this. I will get to everybody. Dobbs versus Browning. Browning certainly has the job locked up, but this is a slightly tougher matchup against the Colts. The Colts are a tough matchup for opposing quarterbacks. I think I would stick with Dobbs and hope for the best. I know he had a terrible game Monday night. I think he had 4 interceptions. At least 2 of those were tipped balls or dropped by the receiver. Like, a couple of those turnovers were not Dobbs' fault. I got to think things course correct a little bit. Tomorrow, they've had the bye week to, another week to get Dobbs acclimated with the playbook because he only had been there since the trade deadline. I think the bye week came at a good time for Josh Dobbs. I would fire up if you're streaming options because a guy like Trevor Lawrence is out. I would go Dobbs over Browning. It's a bad matchup. The Colts, I know Browning lit it up against the Jags last week. The Colts are a good defense, and they're particularly good against opposing quarterbacks. I would play Dobbs. Um, and I like Houston this week as the top stream. Well, them and New Orleans, because Houston's playing the Jets and the Saints are playing the Panthers. Houston, New Orleans, those are like the top. They're the top streams this week. The only teams I'm playing over those guys are like the Cleveland Browns, who are they're at home. They are a steady defense. They've been really good all year. They get Jacksonville potentially with CJ Beathard. And I would take the Miami Dolphins against Will Levis. But Houston and New Orleans, they round out the top four. I would put the Ravens probably fifth. So if there's got to be an odd man out, and the Ravens should be fine. They're in a great spot, but Houston's playing Zach. Well, first of all, Texans are playing good football, and they're playing Zach Wilson, and the Saints are playing Bryce Young at home. I mean, I'll take either one of those. Like, take your, choose your favorite. Honestly, I think they're all elite options this week. Houston, New Orleans, and if Baltimore's somehow out there, they're all really good options. I'm playing Houston in a much must-win situation, if that helps. I would probably put Houston as the top stream just because they're playing the Jets, even on the road. Goff or Stroud coming back up to the top. Goff has the Bears on the road. Stroud has the Jets on the road. Goff has Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams. Stroud is down to, he's still got Nico Collins, but he's down Tank Dell. He's down Dalton Schultz. He has Brevin Jordan. He might have Noah Brown. I might actually say Goff because he has his full complement of weapons. He has Amon-Ra. He has Sam Laporta. He's got, I'll throw Jahmyr Gibbs in there as a pass catcher. The Bears give up a lot of production to pass catching backs. And he's got Jameson Williams for a potential big play. I'll give the slight nod to Goff. Stroud's playing great football and could easily be the better option. And he's a better runner than Goff, but he's down. He's down Tank Dell. He's down Dalton Schultz, and he might not have Noah Brown. I'll take the guy with the full complement of weapons. I'll take Goff. Stash Dobbs or Stafford as a backup to Josh Allen? The answer is neither. If you have Josh Allen, you should not have a second quarterback on your roster. Point blank, end of story. Save that roster spot for another running back or wide receiver. Yeah. I can count them. Yeah. If you have Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, if you have any of those guys, that's the only quarterback you need. That's the only quarterback you need. You do not need a backup. Yeah. The answer is neither. And if you can only start one between Devontae Adams and Devontae Smith, I gotta play Devontae Adams. Coming out of the team's bye week, Devontae Smith has Dallas Goedert coming back for the Eagles. Give me Devontae Adams. Give me Devontae Adams. Full PPR, choose two. Achane, Mostert, Ridley, Chuba, Jerome Ford. Your Dolphins. We're playing our Dolphins. If you have both Mostert and Achane, just play them both. Just play them both. I would be playing both Dolphins running backs until the wheels fall off. Both of these guys are coming through in a big way. Yes, Mostert had a bit more of like a floor game with Achane back in week 13, but he still had 50 total yards of scrimmage and a touchdown. I mean, they're attached to one of the best offenses in football. They are both integral parts of what the Dolphins want to do on offense. Play both of your Dolphins running backs. Yeah. Ridley probably without Lawrence. Chuba is on the Panthers. And I like Jerome Ford. I do. I like Jerome Ford, but I don't like him more than I don't like him more than those Dolphins running backs. Yeah. Mostert and Achane should both be in your lineup. 100%. Swift, Chuba, or Reed. We're starting two of these guys. Man, I don't know that I can. I don't know that I can suggest starting Chuba Hubbard over DeAndre Swift, but Chuba got 25 carries last week. Swift's usage is up and down in the Eagles offense. He's the better player than Chuba Hubbard, but the Panthers committed to Chuba Hubbard last week in a way, the Eagles did not commit to DeAndre Swift. I mean, he should be a viable option as a pass catcher. You got to figure the Eagles are going to throw the ball a lot against the Cowboys. They might struggle trying to run the ball. And then as for Jaden Reed, he's in a really good spot against the Giants, and Christian Watson is out. I guess I would say sit Swift. Man, am I really here? Am I really suggesting Chuba Hubbard over DeAndre Swift? I guess I am. If you can't pull the trigger on that, I understand. But Chuba got all the work last week. I don't know. Maybe the new coaching staff is kicking Miles Sanders to the curb, which is fine. I guess I would go Chuba, and I guess I would go Jaden Reed without Christian Watson. Jaden Reed's got a greater opportunity to come through. Yeah. I'll go Chuba and Reed. I can't believe we're here. DeAndre Swift is I would think he gets he gets more opportunities against the Cowboys, but it's a tough matchup. It's a tough spot. And the Eagles have not been particularly good in Dallas for the past few years in that rivalry. They've fared better at home, but this game is not at home. It's in Dallas. So tougher spot. Tougher spot for DeAndre Swift. Nico, is this Nico or Cortland Sutton? And you're in the playoffs already? Okay. Well, first of all, best of luck. But between Cortland Sutton and Nico Collins, I know it's a bad matchup for Nico, but that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going. Sutton is a good option and maybe is the safer play because of the matchup, but I think Nico's ceiling is higher. Again, even in this, he's got a bad matchup against Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. But Tank Dell is done is done for the year. Dalton Schultz is out for this game, and Noah Brown is questionable with the knee injury. Nico might see 35 to 40% of the first reads tomorrow. I think he can come through on volume even in a bad matchup. Sutton is in the much better matchup, make no mistake. And Sutton's been rock solid this year. I would say Sutton is your floor play and Nico is your upside play. It is the playoffs, so it depends on how aggressive you are comfortable being. If you're an underdog, I would maybe go Nico. If it's a little bit more evenly matched, or if you feel like you are a favorite, then I would then maybe consider Sutton. But I would probably play Nico if I felt like I needed to be more aggressive. And yeah, Amon-Ra is obviously a no-brainer. Remember, everybody, when this season is over, talk to y'all's commissioners and expand your starting lineup from 2 receivers to 3. We should all be able to enjoy the benefit of drafting the players that we draft. I will be your lawyer for that. Thanks, Jake. Thanks for coming in, man. Best of luck tomorrow. Yeah, I'll say Sutton is your floor play, and Collins is a little bit more of a ceiling play. Maybe Sauce Gardner holds him in check, but I got to think the opportunities are going to be plentiful for Nico Collins. Half PPR, 2 flex spots. Mostert, Aaron Jones, McKinnon, and Dubs. Mostert and McKinnon. Give me Mostert. He has to be fired up at this point. I mean, he has delivered all season long, even with Achane in there. The Dolphins have an elite offense. Any one of those guys can go, can have a big game. All are threats to score every week. The Dolphins are super dynamic. They're elite in a lot of different ways, a lot of different areas. There's nothing scary about the matchup against the Titans, especially with them being down Jeffrey Simmons on their defensive line. Mostert. And I'll take McKinnon in half PPR. I think he's going to be again, this is like a fool's errand trying to predict the Chiefs' backfield without Isaiah Pacheco. You're going to see people that think it's McKinnon. You're going to see people that think it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I haven't seen enough from Clyde Edwards-Helaire to believe anything about his role in this offense. Could it be large tomorrow? Sure, I guess. Could Deneric Prince out-snap him? I could see that happening too. I think McKinnon is the only guy in this offense where it's like, I'm fairly confident he's going to have a role, especially in this matchup against the Bills, where they're going to have to throw the ball, and the receiver depth in Kansas City is damn near close to non-existent. Give me Mostert, give me McKinnon. I love Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is my guy. I've barely seen Aaron Jones this year. I even in a great matchup, I gotta wait. I gotta wait a week on him. And then Dubs is in a good spot, again, without Christian Watson, but I want to play the running backs. And you have Mostert and McKinnon in there. Yep, I would leave it that way. I would leave it that way. Yeah, it's a good spot for Aaron Jones, but I haven't seen Aaron Jones in like a month. 3 weeks. But like it was 4 weeks before that. It's been too sporadic for Aaron Jones. I got to see him for a game before I put him back in there unless I have no other option. And that's not the case here. Pick 3, half PPR. Achane, Eckler, Saquon, Moss. Holy shit. You're sitting Eckler. That's where we're at. You're sitting Eckler. He hasn't been good the past 3 weeks. The rushing production has dried up, and you can usually, like Austin Eckler, I feel like averaged 5 catches a game. He's only done that twice this year. Now, he missed some time at the beginning of the season, but, even since he returned, most of his games, he's getting anywhere from 2 to 4 catches. That's not what you drafted Austin Eckler in the first round for. You drafted Austin Eckler for 6 to 7 catches. At least that's an average, not 4. And for whatever it's worth, the Broncos have been much better on defense recently. They've been a lot better. They started out historically bad. They have really turned it around. They're not like best in the league, but they're way more respectable on defense than they were at the start of the season. Achane is a big play waiting to happen. Saquon is Saquon. At home against the Packers, you're not taking Saquon out. And Zach Moss is in a great matchup tomorrow. Cincinnati's given up a shitload of production to opposing running backs. I like Zach Moss quite a bit tomorrow. Eckler has struggled for the past 3 weeks and hasn't been super spectacular in general this year, outside of a couple of weeks. Achane, Saquon, Moss, you're sitting Eckler. Yep, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. I don't want to play. I don't want to sit Eckler. We're talking about Austin freaking Eckler here, but given your other options and given the recent production, I don't think we have a choice. I think you got to sit Eckler. Achane's a baller. Saquon is Saquon. And Zach Moss is, he got 95% of the opportunities last week, and this week it's a really good matchup. I'm going back to the well with Zach Moss. Somebody asked me Moss or Montgomery earlier. That was a tougher question because David Montgomery has been rock solid all season long. You can't say the same about Austin Eckler. Not this year. Josh Downs or Dontavian Wicks? I mean, I know that Wicks is going to get an increased opportunity with Christian Watson sitting out, but I got to go with Downs. I know Downs hasn't been great for the past month. This is a good matchup tomorrow. I mean, Wicks has gotten a little bit more involved recently, which is great. Good for Dontavian Wicks. It's always good to see young players get their opportunities, and he's going to get another one tomorrow on Monday night in theory with Watson down. But we've seen more from Downs. We're talking about two rookies here, so seen is, take it with a grain of salt. These guys are only just starting out their careers. I gotta think Downs is more of a starter or closer to a starter than Wicks regularly is. You would think that it's going to go to Dubs, it's going to go to Reed. If Aaron Jones is back, you would think he assumes his role as the pass catching running back. I'll take Downs. Downs is more of a regular contributor right now than Dontavian Wicks, even with Christian Watson out, and that's what it comes down to for me. Give me Downs. Is Odell worth a pickup? No, not if you have Josh Kelly. Just like I said recently about Austin Eckler, the rushing production has not been there. Now, do I think Josh Kelly is any good? Meh. Very meh. But the Chargers are suggesting that they're going to want to get him more involved because it hasn't quite been there this year as a runner for Austin Eckler. I mean, Eckler has one 100-yard rushing game, and it came in the opener. It came in week 1. Since then, his high watermark of rushing yards in one game is 67, which is good, but he's only cleared 60 yards rushing two other times this year outside of that 100-yard game, week 1. The other 6 games he's played, he's been under 50 yards rushing, and the averages are bad. 1.9 yards per carry, week 6. 3.2, week 7. It's better than 1.9, but it's still not good. 1.9, week 8. 3.3, week 9. 3.5, week 10. That's not good. 6.4, week 11. That's good on a per-touch basis, but he only totaled 70 scrimmage yards. You need more than that from your number one pick, from your first-round pick. And then the past 2 weeks, 10 carries, 32 yards, 14 carries, 18 yards. bad matchups. New England is a tough matchup. That's who he played last week. Baltimore is a tough matchup. That's who he played week 12. But this is Austin Eckler we're talking about. You just expect more from a guy like him. And that's a testament to him. That's a testament to his talent and what he's done over the course of his career. He's a damn good running back. But it hasn't totally come to fruition for Austin Eckler this year. And to make matters worse, he's not coming through as a receiver either. So, yeah, hang on to Josh Kelly. I would hang on to Josh Kelly. If you've got a random roster spot available, I don't know a single person who plays fantasy football that couldn't use more running back help. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your situation is. We always need running back help. I would hang on to Kelly. I would hang on to Kelly. D'Ernest Johnson, Charbonnet, you have ETN. I would say Charbonnet is the best stash of this group. I mean, yes, D'Ernest Johnson would seemingly come into a full-blown opportunity and role sans ETN, but if somebody like Charbonnet is out there, pick him up. I mean, he's got more standalone value than D'Ernest Johnson does. I would pick up Charbonnet. I would pick up Charbonnet. Yeah, Charbonnet should be rostered. D'Ernest Johnson is obviously a very intriguing handcuff if you have ETN, but I would prefer to have Charbonnet even if I had ETN. Maximize your team's ceiling for as long as you have the opportunity to do so. Because on one hand, it's like, well, what if something happens to Travis Etienne? On the other hand, what if something happens to Kenneth Walker? And we've seen what happens. Last week, Charbonnet put up like 16 or 17 half PPR points. I think it was closer to 19 or 20 in full PPR. So I would stash Charbonnet 100%. Mixon or McKinnon? This is where I'm going Mixon. Again, good luck trying to predict how this Chiefs backfield is going to play out tomorrow. I think McKinnon is going to get plenty of opportunities. I know Joe Mixon is getting opportunities. I know who Cincinnati's running back is. Play Joe Mixon. Yeah, play Mixon. Appreciate the kind words, guys. Thank you so much. Glad you guys are enjoying the stream. Appreciate you guys coming in and hanging out tonight, taking time out of y'all's schedule to come hang, to come talk shop. Hopefully we get these wins tomorrow. Hopefully we clinch these playoff spots tomorrow. Or if you're already in the playoffs, best of luck. I will be live tomorrow as well, 11 a.m. Eastern. If anybody wants to finalize anything, I'm not done yet. I see plenty of questions that I still have to get to, and I will get to all of them. But if anybody wants to rehash any final thoughts tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, I will be live for a couple hours prior to the slate. If anybody wants to come back and talk shop a second time. 10-team league. I don't want to drop Charbonnet, although I like Tajay Spears. No, just as a stash, you already have Charbonnet. I would just hold Charbonnet. Like I have Charbonnet in a 10-team league, and both of those Chiefs running backs are still available. 10-team leagues, it's shallow rosters. It's shallower rosters. It's harder to drop people. I have Charbonnet. I'm not dropping him for those guys, for any of those guys. I would just hang on to him. I know he's banged up right now. He's a game time decision for tomorrow. I don't think he practiced much this week. He was dealing with some swelling in his knee after the game. I would hang on to Charbonnet. And you say if you don't need to start any of these guys, you're just stashing. If you desperately needed to start somebody tomorrow, then I would say, yeah, pick up Jerick McKinnon. But if you don't, then just hang on to Charbonnet. Just hang on to Charbonnet. PPR, pick two or two running backs and one flex. Well, Jefferson's your Jesus, dude. These are some really good options. Jefferson is your flex. And then I mean ETN is one of your running backs. Dog, you have all of these dudes. I mean, you got to play Justin Jefferson, I would think. I mean, I guess you could play three running backs if you're like want to be cautious about Justin Jefferson, but it's Justin Jefferson we're talking about. I mean, I think you have to play him. And then I guess I would go ETN's got to. Actually, this would be a scenario where I would be okay benching ETN if you want to, because he is on the road against Cleveland, and you've got some crazy good options to pick from. I would actually maybe go those first, Jefferson, Kyren Williams, and Moss. But do I really want to sit Achane? Dude, you got some good options here. You have to play. I'm just going to say you got to play Jefferson. He was either the first overall pick or he was a top 3 pick in your league. You have to play Justin Jefferson. That's my thought. And then I guess I would sit, again, we're splitting hairs here, and this could backfire. You're probably going to have somebody really good, or you're going to have somebody go off on your bench. Somebody's going to have a good performance on your bench, which sucks, but that's what happens when you got a bunch of good options. ETN's on the road against Cleveland. If Trevor Lawrence is out, I would sit him for Kyren Williams and Zach Moss. And I would play Jefferson in the flex. If Trevor Lawrence is in and you want to go to ETN, then I guess I would play ETN over, I guess, Moss. I think you got to play Kyren Williams. The dude is on fire since he returned from injury. Jefferson, Williams, Moss. But if Trevor Lawrence is in and you want to roll the dice on ETN, I'm okay with that. A lot of good players, a lot of good options. Dobbs or Wilson? It's a coin flip. I think I would lean on Dobbs. Prior to that Bears game on Monday night, he had been playing really well. I think that the 4 interceptions were a little fluky. A couple of those were tipped passes or drop passes by the wide receivers. I think it's a pretty good spot for him. The Raiders are not a scary matchup by any stretch of the imagination for opposing quarterbacks. The Chargers are a little bit better, but not super scary one way or another. I would lean Dobbs. I think, the bye week probably did him some real good, having only gotten there at the trade deadline, getting, a little bit more acclimated with the offense. I would go Dobbs. I'm not super worried about, him getting benched for Nick Mullins. He would need another 4 or 5 interception game for that to happen. And again, a couple of those interceptions were not his fault. I would go Dobbs. All right. Brett, you're welcome. Thielen or Laporta? Laporta, easily. I mean, I don't normally say, a tight end over a wide receiver, but Laporta's a top 3 or 4 tight end for the rest of the season. And Adam Thielen, I mean, that well has dried up as far as feeling like you can rely on him. The Panthers are bad. The offense is not good. Bryce Young is not playing well. They're on the road against a New Orleans team that is better than them. I'll give me Laporta. I would say definitively, give me Laporta. I feel much better about him than I do about somebody like Adam Thielen at this point in the season. I'll take Laporta for sure. Guy's been a top 3 or 4 tight end on the season. Yeah, I think Thielen's well has run dry. I want players in good offenses over players in bad offenses at this point in the season. It doesn't always work out that way, but in a vacuum, I want players in better situations, especially in must-win situations. You guys took out kicker and defense. I friggin' love that for you. I would love if every league did that and that became the standard. I like playing my wide receivers and my running backs. I hate that I have to start a kicker over like an RB4 or a wide receiver 4. You know, if I've drafted a good collection of wide receivers, I hate that I have to draft a kick or start a kicker and start a defense. That's how it's done. That's how it's done. I love that. Some people are traditionalists that blah blah whatever, give me more running backs and wide receivers in my starting lineup. That's what I want. Like in my dynasty leagues, there's 10 roster spots. Uh, there's no kickers or defenses. It's, if it's a super flex league, it's a quarterback spot, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, tight end, 3 flexes, and one of them is a super flex spot. Like it's like give people the ability to start 4 or 5 running backs or 4 or 5 receivers or 2 or 3 tight ends if you've got good tight end options. Like that's how I like it. Nicely done. I like that a lot. 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. Mostert, Montgomery, Kamara. So those 3. Um, put Montgomery and Kamara in the running back spots. Put Mostert in the flex spot since he plays on Monday night. And then Devontae Adams and Ray. I would probably go Rice over Puka for this week because Puka's on the road against Baltimore, and that's a tough matchup. Rice is at home against Buffalo and is the only viable wide receiver that Patrick Mahomes has right now. Obviously, he's got Travis Kelce. Kelce's a tight end. Rashee Rice is the only viable wide receiver Mahomes has right now. Montgomery and Kamara are your 2 running backs. Devontae and Rashee Rice are your 2 wide receivers. I would put Mostert in the flex. That way, if any random thing happens to Raheem Mostert, you could pivot to DeAndre Hopkins, who also plays on Monday night. Yep. Montgomery, Kamara, Devontae, Rice, Mostert in the flex. Always put your Sunday and Monday night football players or whoever the last player in your lineup to play is in your flex. Maximize your flexibility. Y'all know you play fantasy football. Injuries pop up at random friggin' times, at unpredictable times. You never know what random ticky-tack bullshit might happen. And then all of a sudden you're stuck with a difficult decision to make. You're in a situation here specifically where you've got Raheem Mostert and DeAndre Hopkins both in the Monday night game. You could put Mostert in that spot. And if any random crap happens to Raheem Mostert between now and kickoff, you could put in Hopkins. Always, always, always maximize your flexibility. Always maximize your flexibility. That goes for everybody. Montgomery, Mostert, Nico Collins in half PPR. I would play the running backs. I like Nico Collins despite the bad matchup. I am comfortable with Nico Collins despite having to play Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. I think he's just going to get a ton of opportunities, ton of looks, ton of volume, and CJ Stroud is playing well. So I'm willing to roll the dice if I have to. This is a situation where I don't feel like I have to. I would play both of those running backs, especially in half PPR. Montgomery has been rock solid all year, and Mostert, both of them have been rock solid on, they're ranging anywhere from rock solid to week winner any given week. Both of these guys. I would play your running backs. Play Montgomery in your running back spot. Play Mostert in your flex spot because he plays on Monday night. And that way you can maximize your flex spot. Yeah. Play your running backs. That's where I would go. Monty at running back, Mostert in the flex. Yeah. Eckler should not have been. Yeah, if Eckler was taken first overall, that was a mistake because he should have been. I mean, even there are certain players that you could look back now and like, oh, hindsight, but he shouldn't have been taken over McCaffrey. I would still have never taken him over Justin Jefferson. I wouldn't have taken him over Tyreek Hill. I wouldn't have taken him over B. John Robinson. Even though that's been a little volatile here and there, but it's been better than Eckler. Yeah. First overall, that's tough. That person might not be doing super hot. You have Flowers. I'm not. If Flowers is your best option, play Flowers. I'm not worried about the rain tomorrow. I would be more concerned about the Baltimore weather if the forecast was calling for more wind. Rain is whatever. Yes, it's annoying. I'm sure it's a pain in the ass for the players when it's out there. It's less than ideal conditions. It's not as comfortable, this, that, and the other thing, all that. The wind is what potentially causes issues with the passing game. It doesn't look like it's going to be bad wind tomorrow. Now, is 10-mile-per-hour winds a little worse in rain than it is in clear weather? I guess so, maybe. But it's not enough to the point where I am worried about the pass catchers in this game. If you're looking at your options and Zay Flowers is your best option, I wouldn't be worried about the weather. Then play Zay Flowers. Yeah, I'm not too worried about the Baltimore weather tomorrow. It's a little annoying for the receivers, but the fact that it's not going to be super windy or 10-mile-per-hour winds, that's, again, standard, normal, deep. That's a normal day. There's nothing uncommon about that. So I'm not super worried. Astro, I didn't make a new line. I saw your question. Your lineup looks good. I would not make any changes. I saw sorry if you missed it. I did get to it near the top of the show. Saw the lineup, looks good. I wouldn't make any changes. I think you're fine the way you are. I think you're fine the way you are. I wouldn't play anybody on your bench over anybody you already got in there. I think you're good. Last couple questions here. So I'll take these and then I'll be shutting it down if there aren't any other new questions. Again, if anybody wants to run anything by me tomorrow, I will be live at 11 a.m. Eastern, 2 hours before the slate to finalize any other thoughts, any last minute thoughts to get through your lineup or get through any decisions. So if you want to come back and rehash anything, I will be here. And then, of course, I'll be here on Tuesday for waiver wire help. I think at that point, we're going to have people in the playoffs. Lots of decisions to sort through, but we'll worry about that after we clinch our playoff berths this weekend. But just wanted to throw that out there. I will be live tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern. Between now and then, you can also join our Discord. Second link in the description of this live stream. If you have any other questions that may come up after I'm live, you want to crowdsource with the community, you are absolutely welcome to do that. It's an evergreen invite. Just click the link, second link in the description of this live stream or any streams or videos on this channel. Are the Bears running backs worth a stash? Meh. Yeah, like, I like Roschon as like a prospect, but Donta Foreman is back, and he looked good when he got his opportunities. And Khalil Herbert is the pass catcher, so he's going to mix in on third down. And then, of course, you've got Justin Fields. He will run here and there, even though he hasn't run as much this year as he did last year, but he still figures to. I guess if I had to like take a shot on one, it would be the rookie. I guess it would be Roschon because of the natural, situation. The Bears are a bad team. You would think they are in evaluation mode with some of their young players. So I would think Roschon, I would think they would want to get a look at him before the season is over, like maybe more so than Donta Foreman or Khalil Herbert. Foreman's a vet, and Herbert is what he is. He's a solid change of pace contributor, but he's not a bell cow. I mean, I would think Roschon is the stash here, but I mean, It could be Foreman any week. It could be Herbert. It could be Fields. It could be none of them because the Bears are just not that good. I guess I would say Roshan, but not with a ton of confidence. Not with a ton of confidence. And then, of course, it depends on like that. The other question here is who are you dropping, right? Like who are you dropping for these guys or for one of these guys? Um, yeah, tough sell. The Bears backfield is a tough sell. The Bears as a franchise are a tough sell. Um, nothing personal. No offense to anybody who's a Bears fan, but it's been rough sledding for a little while over there. I would not play Collins over Pollard. Pollard has been playing better in recent weeks, and the Eagles are getting gashed specifically by their linebackers are not good, man. They're a middle of the pack matchup for opposing running backs, but Dallas at home, I think they're going to have some success moving the ball. And the Cowboys, it's a revenge game for the Cowboys. Remember, this is how division games work. The Eagles won the first matchup. Cowboys are going to want revenge in the second matchup. I think Pollard is going to be just fine on Sunday night. So, no, I would play Pollard over Nico. Yeah. Appreciate your guys' kind words. Thank you guys so much for taking some of your time out of your evenings, your Saturdays, your weekends to come hang out with me. That's much appreciated. Hopefully we get these wins tomorrow. Would I pivot from Justin Tucker to Jake Elliott? Elliott doesn't have any weather concerns in Dallas, but Justin Tucker is the best kicker in football. It's going to be rainy. It's a little windy, but it's not terrible. No, I would not. I would not. I would just play Tucker. Unless Tyler Bass is out there. If you want to pivot to Tyler Bass, I could see pivoting to Tyler Bass, but he's probably not out there. He's probably rostered. If you have Justin Tucker, I think you just play Justin Tucker. Again, one last time. It's not expected to be windy in Baltimore. Yes, it's expected to rain. But Tucker is a vet. I'm not, for me, like the weather conditions like that with a guy like him doesn't necessarily concern me. And it's not going to be windy. 10-mile-per-hour winds is not abnormal. It's fine. I think I would go, if you have the best kicker in football, even in less than ideal circumstances, play the best kicker in football. Play Justin Tucker. Play Justin Tucker. And does Knox coming back? I'm not worried about Kincaid. I like Dawson Knox. I think Dawson Knox is a good player, but Kincaid has already proven how dynamic he is and how dynamic of a playmaker he can be for this Bills offense. There's no reason why the Bills shouldn't continue to utilize Dalton Kincaid as their primary, as their primary pass catching option at tight end. Like if they go to more 12 personnel, sure. Yeah. Knox is going to get in there, maybe steal a look or two. But Kincaid has proven himself over this stretch. There's a reason they spent a first-round pick on this guy. Past, 5 catches in week 12 against the Eagles. They were on bye last week. 5 for 38. Not great, but, tight ends are up and down. 5 catches for 38 yards. He had 6 catches week 11, 5 catches week 10. He had 10 catches week 9, 5 week 8, and 8 week 7. If your tight end has a 5-catch floor, you're taking that every week. You're taking that 7 days a week. You're taking it twice on Sundays. I know Dawson Knox is back, but Dalton Kincaid has proved his worth. No, I'm not worried about Dalton Kincaid. Who's going to win the Heisman, Alex? I like this question. I mean, I don't know. I think Jaden Daniels might have stamped it for himself. He's got 50 total touchdowns. What's his total yardage output? It's ridiculous. I mean, surpassed every expectation. Caleb Williams fell out of the running, so now it's like a wide open situation. I know Bo Nix had a great season. Michael Penix had a great season. Um, and Washington is in the CFP, so that's got to count for something for Penix. Maybe that's the stamp that gives it to Penix. But Jaden Daniels was so goddamn good this year, and I think he's got a real chance to be a rock solid quarterback prospect headed into the draft this year. Um, I think I would take Daniels. I think my vote would go to Jaden Daniels. The guy was stellar this year, and I think he's going to be probably going to be a first round pick. He's going to be a first round pick in Dynasty. He's going to be a first round pick in the NFL. I think, he just go if the right team can get their hands on him, that's obviously the key. I think it's going to be Jaden Daniels. Dude was unbelievable this year. Penix was too. Bo Nix was as well. Penix has got his team in the CFP. That's a huge thing. That's a huge deal. Man, I look at Jaden Daniels' numbers and it's just like he killed it this year, man. He absolutely crushed it. Flex, Swift, Clyde, Flowers, Mitchell. Without knowing the scoring, I would probably take the upside play here. And I assume this is Keaton Mitchell, right? Not like Elijah Mitchell. There's no way. I would take the upside here with Keaton Mitchell. If it's full PPR, I could sort of see Flowers, but if you have Keaton Mitchell, I'll take the upside. I'll take the upside. Swift is in a tough matchup, and his workload is unpredictable. CEH, I don't trust. I'm not there yet with CEH. I need to see a game first. Before I declare anything about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He could get involved. It could be the Jerick McKinnon show. It could be a split backfield. Deneric Prince could out-snap Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I wouldn't bat an eye. I would not be surprised at all. Like, I just don't know what situation is going to happen in this Chiefs backfield, and I don't want to try to predict it. So, no to Clyde. I like Flowers quite a bit. I think Keaton Mitchell is your home run shot, and I think I would take him his upside. My dog's making a cameo. What's up, pup? He wants to go outside, so I probably got to wrap this up here somewhat shortly, which is good because I'm at the end of the chat. I would take Mitchell, go for the swing for the fences, take the home run shot. Rookies tend to get more involved in their offense following a bye week. That is just a common trend. So I'll take the upside with Mitchell. Drop Tucker for Bass. I don't really want to advocate for that. You already have Justin Tucker. I don't like, in theory, yes, I do think Bass is in a great spot this week. I think he's probably a top 2 or 3 kicker option this week, but like, I don't know, man. It feels like bad juju saying, yeah, drop Justin Tucker. Like, you have Justin Tucker for a reason. You might just need to go with him and hope for the best. I mean, we're talking about the best kicker in football here, even in less than ideal circumstances. I know I just said, like, oh, if Bass is available, maybe consider him. But, like, again, if you have the best kicker in football, if you have the best player at their position, it's kind of like that's it. There's not really much else to say. Just play the best player at the position and hope for the best. Justin Tucker is still the best kicker in the NFL until further notice. I think you have to play him. If you drop Tucker for Bass, I won't stop you, but that is your call. I don't know that I can fully endorse that. I don't know that I can just drop Justin Tucker. Because if you make the playoffs, then he's got Jacksonville. Nothing scary about that. San Francisco, that could be a great spot for him to, like, if that offense stalls out and against a good defense, and he's kicking field goals. And then at home against Miami, that could be a shootout. I mean, you want Tucker in the playoffs, that's for sure. I don't think I can advocate dropping him. Pollard, Kincaid, Gibbs, or Nico. You have to pick. So you have to pick one of these guys. I mean, it's between Pollard and Gibbs. I guess I would lean Pollard. I know Gibbs is in a great matchup, and I don't want to take him out of the lineup, but like Pollard has rounded into form recently. He's been playing much better. I like the spot Gibbs is in tomorrow, but Pollard has been quite good for the past few weeks. I think if you can only pick one of those guys, I would play Pollard. If you can only play one of those guys, I would play Pollard. And then between Herbert and Goff, I'll take the talent in Herbert. He's at home. You figure you figure the volume should be there for Justin Herbert at home. He's got Keenan Allen. I guess I would go Herbert. I would take my best player. Although the Broncos have been really good. The Broncos have been really good against again, they've been better on defense recently. But the Bears have been stingy as well. I'll say Herbert. He's at home. I'll take the guy at home. I don't love it, but I'll take the more talented player at home. And for right now, Herbert is still like more talented in a vacuum than Jared Goff. I'll take Herbert. Tough call, but I'll take Herbert. You secured a top seed. Congratulations, first of all. Nice on getting the bye week. So you're in good shape. So in general, I would say play your safest lineup. You're just trying to score points. Allen, top 2 option. Ayuk, Diggs, yeah, looks great. Bijan, Achane looks great. Ferguson, solid streamer. Ingram's been a little disappointing there, but Ferguson is a solid streamer. Yeah, these are good wide receiver options. I would just wish that I would only wish you could start 3 wide receivers instead of 2. And that just keeps reminding me to remind you guys to, at the end of the season, tell y'all's commissioners next year we want to increase the starting lineup from 2 receivers to 3 receivers. You should be able to play the players that you draft. You should be rewarded for the players that you draft. I will go to bat for anybody to make that happen. Y'all just let me know. Yeah, my only issue is you can't start 3 receivers. You have to play Diggs and Ayuk, which is fine, but Puka and DK are both really good options too. I would want to play one of those guys as my 3rd wide receiver any given week. Yeah, it looks good. It looks good. You've got the Packers defense for this week against the Giants. The Packers play the Panthers week 16. So if you get to week 16, that's a great matchup. Or no, you will get to week 16 because you got the bye week. So that's a that's a good spot. You're looking good. Looks good. Looks like a team that should compete for a championship. Looks like a team that should compete for a championship. Nicely done. Nicely done. And appreciate the subscription. I think I saw a couple people say that they subscribed tonight. So appreciate that. Very, very much appreciative of the support for the channel. I am at the end of my chat, so I will go on my short spiel here before I shut things down. I'll allow a couple more minutes to go by in case anybody has any last minute thoughts. If you miss me tonight, I will be live again tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern. to go over any last minute thoughts that you guys may want to rehash or bring up anything new prior to the slate. We can go over that. If you want to, if you miss me while I'm online or while I'm live streaming, you can hit me in Discord or hit the community in Discord. Second link in the description of this live stream and all of the videos and streams on this channel. Evergreen invite. You can crowdsource with the community over there. It's a good opportunity to answer questions. If you want to support the channel further, there are membership options available. One of the perks, of course, of being a member of the channel is being able to get your questions. They jump the line. I will get to those prior to the general public. I do get to everybody. I make a point to get to everybody, but any members will get their questions answered in a priority order. Think of it as like the fast lane. And one of the other perks, for next season would be the ability to play in a league with me and the other members of the channel. I would obviously commission it, so you wouldn't have to worry about any of that. That is another perk as well. Something to think about over the course of the off season if you are interested. Okay, you're starting the Cowboys defense. They're playing, it's not a great spot necessarily against the Eagles, but they're at home. I know they kind of laid an egg last week against Seattle, but the Eagles offense is a little clunky right now. They only scored 19 points last week. Now they got to go on the road in a tough matchup. They're not as enticing, Dallas is, as they usually are, but there probably isn't a better option that you feel definitively good about. I like Houston. I like New Orleans this week. I think Indianapolis has a chance to come through against the Bengals. They've been a good defense of late, and they've got a pretty good playoff schedule if you want to roll the dice on them. If none of those are available, you probably just need to rock with the Cowboys. Even though the Eagles do have a formidable offense, they do have their warts. Jalen Hurts has turned the ball over this year. I think he's got double-digit turnovers. So, it's not an insurmountable matchup for Dallas, certainly, and especially so with them being at home. I think you're okay firing them up if you have to. And then in full PPR, between Smith and Jigba, T. Higgins, and Jerick McKinnon, play Jerick McKinnon. He's the only, and especially in full PPR, he's the only guy I suspect will have some type of like rock solid, consistent role that we can believe in tomorrow. I don't know what Clyde Edwards-Helaire's role is going to look like. I don't know if Deneric Prince is going to get more involved than maybe we expect. What I do know is Jerick McKinnon has been a pretty steady mainstay in this offense for a couple of years. He was a league winner last year, like weeks 14 to 17. I think he was like the RB2 overall for the month of December. Now we get him back in the similar spot. I'm going McKinnon. It's a lost season for T. Higgins, and I don't trust him right now. And Smith and Jigba is, it's sporadic. He's good, but his volume and production is sporadic with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. And plus, now we're potentially looking at a backup quarterback with Geno being on the injury report with that groin injury. I would go McKinnon. I have no idea what that Chiefs backfield is going to look like tomorrow. But what I'm pretty sure of above all other potential scenarios, McKinnon will be the guy who should be involved. Third down role, pass catching opportunities, all that good stuff. Thanks for the subscription. Appreciate it. All right, guys, we are at the end of the chat. So I am going to go ahead and wrap this up. But appreciate you guys coming in, hanging out, talking shop tonight, taking some time out of your schedule to come hang out with me. It's much appreciated. The support of the stream and the channel in general is appreciated. I will be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, if you guys want to finalize anything or rehash anything one more time prior to the slate. But that'll do it for me this evening. Thank you guys so much. Let's get these wins. Let's clinch these playoff berths. I want to see y'all back here on Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, so that we can go over waivers and general AMA questions as we gear up for our playoff matchups in Week 15. Everybody have a great rest of your Saturday night. I will see y'all tomorrow. If not, though, good luck this weekend. Let's get these dubs. Thanks, everybody.